I thought your whole take on the homeless situation when Seth Green, I think his name was
After
saying,
Dark.
well, we got a housing problem. You go, it's not a housing problem. It's not a housing problem.
It's not.
This is a mental health.
Right now, right now, they all have housing.
That's right.
And go to Venice. How's it going? How's it going to Venice?
I live in Venice. I know.
Well, there's some in Woodland Hills too.
These are all mentally ill, and they have to put them into treatment and into housing. They will not go on their own. And they're, to be fair, Newsom's rhetoric shifted with this crisis, and he's begun to talk about mental illness and services and treatment. He's just not doing it.
Well, Newsom was part of that whole thing about there was this weird, very strange left-wing sort of wall against calling this an addiction and mental health crisis.
They were just
they were trying to blame the economy and the rich and how housing, it was a housing shortage, and it was almost this strange thing that they knew the difference.
So
and
I don't think they are so blinded by their ideology. I went to the White House and
Newsom is disappointing. He's a stuffed shirt with his fucking height in his hair. I don't like him. How about that?
I'm giving him a good grade for what's going on right now.
All right.
But I went to the White House, gave a talk about how this happened, how we destroyed the mental health system in America, and where they all got belched out onto the streets and the prisons and the nursing homes. That's it. We made no provision for it.
That was a Supreme Court decision, and I think
it's pretty complicated.
Yeah,
I sent him a lot of gape pictures when he was in the White House. That's not a joke.
That's such a terrible.
How long ago was that? Were you at the White House?
3-4 months ago.
And how was it?
Very interesting. It was really fascinating.
How so?
Well, first of all, everyone around Trump, he has some amazing and smart people around him. I loved meeting the people in the West Wing, and they are just about what can we do to make life better in America. That's it. What do you think we should do? What do you think?
Wow.
Give us some ideas. We're just trying to make things better. They're super enthusiastic.
And did you come with
smart
ideas?
I spent the whole day with Azar, with Secretary Azar and Secretary Carson, and I fell in love with those two guys.
Oh wow,
they're amazing.
Ben Carson
is amazing. Me with
physician, right?
Yeah, he's a neurosurgeon. There he is on the left there.
Smart dude. He's painting himself in his house. Whatever.
And he is really working on the homeless thing. He is coming. He until all this went down, he was on his way to really take care of business.
What do you think should happen with the homeless?
There's a series of things need to happen. They need to change the laws around mental health. And you need to have some ability to put people in treatment that need treatment. We went overnight in the early 70s from the criteria for treatment was the doctor decided that person needed care to harm to self or other.
Right.
That's a giant distance.
It is.
There's a lot in between.
Yes.
So when you say we need to have the ability, you mean physicians, literally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So because what happens, the Supreme Court decision was essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was the idea that the state, unless you are a danger to others and yourself, the state has no right to take you and force you into treatment.
Do anything.
And you made a very good point of saying, if a schizophrenic is rolling his own stool in a ball down the road, that's his possession, and technically now a police officer can't touch it.
But if it's a demented patient with the same symptoms and you don't intervene, you're guilty of abuse.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yes.
Certain brain diseases are privileged, and certain brain diseases are have to get treatment. You have to put them somewhere. It's just unbelievable.
I think people though get caught up in the idea of how do you define mental illness? Right. That's a huge one, right? So somebody could have depression sometimes and they're mentally ill, right?
If your illness has driven you to the street, that's a terrible sign.
Correct.
I agree.
When you've lost everything, you've lost your job, you lost your ability to function. Functionality is the defining feature of mental illness. Can you function? Are you in distress?
If you're living in a car.
Is your current course harming you? Oh, come on.
And can we help them, Drew?
Oh my God, yes. And
really?
and with the other thing
we shouldn't kill him.
This, no.
I'm just spitballing ideas.
He's throwing out ideas.
I got a doctor here.
He's throwing out ideas.
Oh, guys, let's not talk so loud. We're spreading COVID, first of all.
Yeah,
no, we're brainstorming ideas.
The schizophrenia, if you intervene early, you can change the course of the illness.
Is that true?
Yes. Dementia is progressive no matter what. Right. Yet that's the one we intervene on.
Nicotine.
Think how effed up that is. That's so effed up.
Well, what about nicotine and creatine?
So, for what?
Nicotine for dementia. I read a study that
it makes sense to me. Anything that causes alertness should do that.
Boom.
Creatine.
Science.
Mike sent me all the creatine stuff, so I take creatine every day.
Me too.
Yeah.
Do you take nicotine too, Dr. Drew?
We've talked about it. I would. If I haven't needed, because I'm on this sort of carnivore-esque diet, I haven't needed an appetite suppressant. My weight has been poof.
Here's another thing, and he's not talking about it. I brought him the bad boys from Sweden, the Volts.
I nearly threw up.
Okay, and so
Gave him those?
yeah, he said,
Oh, no.
But his big concern, what is this going to do to my teeth?
That's
I was
fair.
like, you bitch.
What do you think of metformin?
It's very interesting. I
that
keep
mean?
thinking I might want to do that.
It's a diabetes drug, yeah.
Yeah, diabetes drug, but it
About
does.
$1 a day, and they found that most metformin patients don't get cancer, right?
It
Or
is.
very
It
low.
has some sort of, and it's a one drug that is associated with longevity too.
I've done
Metformin. It keeps the glucose levels.
It must have something else. It must be something else that we just don't
but
know.
apparently it makes it essentially like it'd be like keeping your glucose levels low, so that even if you eat certain things, it'd be like being on keto all the time, where you're not feeding anything sugar.
I heard a lot of actors take it.
I don't know.
There's a big push for metformin in the anti-aging world,
Yep.
and I've done
Yep.
some research. I'm too much of a dummy to fully understand it, but what I found though, and this applies to you, it can dramatically negatively impact performance.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
So you
Performance
get in
how?
there like
My high
start
stress-
warming up to do some boxing,
would
you're
fuck
gonna
my
be
high-
fucking gassed.
Yeah.
Really?
I'll be shredded.
Yeah,
Would it fuck my high kicks up?
But will I be leaner?
Probably because it
I
would.
don't. I
don't know.
I think it
know.
would stimulate your appetite.
Can I fuck
Yeah.
on it?
I mean,
So, you
there's
never know.
no
Any
drug
medicine.
you could take that won't let you.
I was going to
fuck.
say any medicine can do that too. But let me go back to my
Perfect.
cure for homelessness.
sorry, I feel like
so
we're on
we
Love
also
Line right
need
now.
we
I'm
need
so
a
excited.
directive to physicians that we're required to fill out whenever somebody gets a major mental illness diagnosis.
Okay.
So it just like we do with aging, we go when your brain isn't working right and you're on a ventilator or you get dementia or you have pneumonia and you're unconscious. I want you to instruct me what to do. So you have schizophrenia, and when you decompensate, which you will, let's write down now exactly what I should do to help you, so I can have the right to get you off the street and make you better.
Yes.
And families are begging for this. We've been up to Sacramento multiple times, begging them for help. They have doctors and resources and money and a home. F off. Just to get out of here. Who do you think you are?
Because it's
It
considered-
violates their ideology.
That's
that,
right.
Do you think your children don't have agency? Of course they have. Like, do you think the brains don't get sick? Brains get really sick, and agency's affected.
I
by
think
that.
people
we
are
need,
hard-
we
have a
need
hard
more
time.
measurable evidence, don't we? We already
Like
have a
hard
lot.
fact.
I don't
How
know.
much more measurable evidence do you need somebody who lives in a cardboard box and rolling their shit in?
Right.
And
No,
we
but
can
I
make
think
better.
honestly, I
Maybe
really do
bored,
think
though.
first off, a lot of those people, and I just know this from like kind of bumping elbows with them in the recovery community and also living in Venice. A lot of those people don't have any support network. They never had anyone
course not.
in their life. They came out of the womb fucked, where
Yeah,
they had drug addict parents, maybe mentally ill parents, maybe no parents, and with pre-existing mental health problems, you're fucked.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
my
And
mom-
a lot of times I'll look at dudes walking down the street like asking for money to buy a beer at 7 a.m. and I get overwhelmed by the feeling like, man, pretty much the only thing that separates you from me was a zip code we grew up in.
Yeah.
Is that my daddy could wipe my ass every time I fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, when I was 19.
Or sometimes I think some people, I have theory on that. Like when you see somebody who smokes weed all day long, or they drink all. I think a lot of people are born with a very low level of, say, serotonin or whatever it might
sure.
be,
But
and
D2
they've been
D2.
self-medicating
Dopamine D2.
forever. Like
Yeah.
my father's best friend was he was named. I was named after. He never felt good
Except when he was
sober
using.
unless he was drunk, and that started happening when he was 13 years old. And that's just his wiring. And I'm just lucky that I was born with a certain amount of genetics where I don't need that. I'm just fucking lucky. And I see a wretch on the street sometimes and I just go, he didn't choose that. He didn't fucking choose that.
Are you
I mean,
addicted to anything, Dr. Drew?
No, I don't
Never?
Yeah, but Mike has a very powerful.
Poontang.
Has a very powerful.
Dr. Drew's addicted to that
Hey,
sweet
dude,
food.
he's a doctor. Can you calm down?
Thank you. He has a very powerful statement about his relationship with substances.
I think I know what you're referring
Yeah.
to. Is this is hard to say sometimes, but I have a child and a wife who I love more than I could possibly imagine.
Sure.
More than I could put into words. I'm not sure. I can't confidently say that I love them more than I love methamphetamine.
Oh,
and crack
wow. It was that
and,
good.
And no, it's not. That's
You
the
make me wanna
nature.
do it.
That's the nature of addiction,
Oh, okay.
which is why their families, their jobs,
They don't count.
their
That doesn't
wives,
matter.
their lives can
Wow.
fall by the wayside.
Wow.
And literally, I've had patients say to me, "I had gum in my mouth, going to kill myself, but I couldn't do that to my drugs. I love them too."
So can I give you can I give you
It
an
must be
acting thing?
so good.
This is fascinating to me. 'cause
it isn't so good. It's only so good for people like me.
I can't do this to my drug. So Jeffrey Tambor, the actor.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was he's a great actor, and he was trying to play. He had to play an addict, and he couldn't figure out. He's not an addictive personality, and he couldn't figure out like how to connect to it,
Yeah.
right? So he spoke to an addict, and the addict goes, "I don't know how to really describe it." He goes, "Well, can you give me something?" He said, "I mean, I guess sometimes when I would think about it, like sometimes I would come." And Jeffrey went, I got it.
Yeah,
Thank
good,
you.
good.
I got it.
Check, please.
What?
That's
and
cocaine.
that was
That's
real.
a
It's cocaine.
addict, yeah.
Yeah,
Cocaine
it was
addicts
coke.
will do that.
That's
yeah.
right. He said that was the drug.
That's
Stimulant.
Well, it's like that one
man.
teen mom. Is it Macy's baby daddy who's just a drug addict?
Opiate addict,
And
heroin.
there's a scene in Teen Mom where
I like the way you see everything through the prism of Teen Mom.
I know it's ridiculous, but he's driving and he's high.
Oh, he's
driving
falling
with his
asleep.
baby mama and he's falling asleep at the
Nodding
wheel
off.
on the highway. They're filming this. There's a GoPro and he's like,
See,
it's insane.
Getting back to what we were talking
he's
about
like the
earlier,
worst dad ever.
Getting back to what we were talking about earlier, where you're saying,
like
like,
that.
in your mind, all of you are probably, maybe not him, but you're thinking, how on earth could you drive with your child fucked up? I can't sit here and judge the guy. I drove intoxicated every day.
Not with your kid, though.
But
Might
if
have.
I had a kid at 19, absolutely, I'd be
probably.
high. I'd be high behind in front of the wheel.
So this is where compassion has to play, and not taking credit for your, like, I always try to remember not to take credit for the fact that I'm somewhat successful
And beautiful.
I'm not kidding, and but yes, and beautiful, but
all
but in
relative,
other words,
right?
it's just I was given, I was made lucky. A lot
Leonardo
of it's just
DiCaprio.
luck.
But
I have
what
a
do we
great-
do with that?
a lot of it's
though?
luck. A lot of it's luck, but a lot of it is hard work and ambition
Right,
and
right.
talent. Like no,
What I'm saying-
there's
what I'm-
plenty
You've
of
also
people-
come in here for the last 7 years, every Monday and Wednesday, late, and my back hurts from carrying the show.
What the
but you
fuck?
still come.
But
the last 7 years.
But again, I was raised with that work ethic, with that idea where
no,
the opposite
you've
was
had
not
some
allowed.
huge flaws, like getting
Yeah.
when entertainment
I had a hard
self-sabotage.
time. I had a hard time.
But you've also you had self-sabotage for a long time.
But
I was always at the same time. I had a stable enough life and upbringing and mentality born with that, where I was always able to accomplish things. Right? Still, you know what I'm saying? Like
Like if shit hit the road, you could.
But
Daddy.
how far do we go with
Someone-
this? You didn't get neuroblastoma when you were 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
There's-
know.
I mean, yes, getting through life is a crazy navigation. It's amazing we get from one day to the
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
But you
maybe
really,
just some people just don't have the machinery. Maybe that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
some people
but should you then feel bad for
No,
working
no.
your ass
It
off
brings
to-
up a larger question, which is the question of free will. That's all I'm saying. And
That's a whole complicated.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow, come on! I mean, Doctor,
there's
you don't have so
there's
much time.
dude, there's an argument to. I mean, I'm looking at
I'm
it
a
from bro
compatibilist,
from
just for the
bro
record.
science view. It's like there's a little bit of it's like a nice little goulash. There's some nature and there's some
Right.
fucking nurture.
And there's plenty of people
with
that
your
got-
career directly with your career. Like, dude, we've talked about it. You gave one podcast a shot, didn't work out. You didn't fucking throw in the towel. Give another one a shot. You gave it. You met this guy, then hey, let's give it a shot. And then these things. Next thing you know, you got on
Just
the
kept showing up,
successful-
kept
you
showing
kept
up.
showing up, and you'd like. Joan Rivers said on Louis' show, I'll never forget it, man. There was an episode of Louis back when he was still allowed to make content.
He's coming out with a special.
Okay.
and it's pure fire.
And Joan Rivers was the guy, and he had just done a terrible show at like some casino, and he went up to Joan Rivers' room, and she says, sometimes the music's gonna stop in your career. You just got to keep dancing.
Yes.
And
Oh,
it's
wow.
like the people like me that just, it doesn't matter how dark it gets, you just got to keep
It
dancing.
stopped for a while for her.
Yeah.
Stopped
Oh,
for
yeah.
a while for her.
She couldn't. No one would answer her phone calls, and but
It's true in a lot of areas of life, though, right? Things can turn down, turn up. You keep working. You work hard. You hope you do the right thing.
Well, it's a
You
little bit like
priorities
this. It's
intact.
a little bit like, your life is going to have downs. We know this. It's exactly like we are going to be faced with black swans. It's going to
We're
be
in the middle of
COVID-19.
one.
That's right.
This is the blackest
This is
one.
the black swan. You're
Chinese
gonna,
black
shit's
swan.
going to happen where you're going to be like, can you believe this shit's happening?
Yeah.
Can you believe that I am thrown into chaos, that my 401k or whatever it might
Right,
be, or
right.
I don't know where I'm going to go next? I'll tell you this right now.
Yeah.
Watch your tone.
Okay. What's going to happen? What are you going to do? Use some of that boxing you've been doing?
Don't you fucking disrespect.